Giving me such.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final in a series of five, the final Mythbuster webinar. We're talking today about assistive technology costs and funding sources. Uh, this is fun. There's not many myths to talk about, so it will make for, I'd like to think, a quick conversation, but I know better with me and I. It will not be a quick conversation. It will fill exactly the time it's supposed to. It'll just do it with less slides.
We put it the
Yeah,
fun in funding, Mike.
it's fun and funding. Yeah, you can't. That's right. You can't
Fun
have
and
funding
funding.
without fun. So there it is. For everybody here with us, I will put the link in the chat so you have it. For everybody who's watching the recording later, you can get to the slides from that link. You can get to them from the QR code. As usual, the links have some resources embedded. I mean, the slides have some resources embedded in them. So definitely get the slides. You're going to get some extra bonus information. You know, the 45 minutes you spend with us is just a taste. Then you dig out and you go further and you learn even more. So if you haven't been with us for any of the other ones, where the heck were you? But I'm Mike Marana. I'm the director of the Richard West Assistive Technology Advocacy Center. That is New Jersey's Assistive Technology Act. Normally, Naomi's with us. Naomi's on vacation this week, so it's just me from our center. There's all of our socials. There's my email if you'd like to reach out for anything. I'll give you some more information about other upcoming exciting events we have. But that's all I have for now about me.
And I am Mia Lodato, and I'm the co-project director of the Center on Inclusive Technology and Education Systems. And I'm also the senior technical assistant specialist there. And you know what, Mike? You know what
What?
I'm excited about tonight?
I can't even imagine what.
I am excited about the AT myths about funding because we are getting ready to talk about it. Taco, talk about it.
I get
Yeah,
it. Talk about it.
talk about it. Talk about it. Yeah,
We should
yeah,
give
yeah.
everyone a signal. So if they want to fast forward like 15 seconds, they could jump past all this great stuff. But who would want to do that? Do you want to talk about
Who's
the
gonna do
graphics?
that?
You want to talk
I
about the
would
graphics that
love
we're going to use?
to
Yeah.
talk about the graphics. Mike, see what I did there? Talk about it. Yeah. So don't spit out your water.
Oh my goodness.
So you can find those AT myths and facts and the free graphics that we've created based on all 28 myths and facts, plus a game that you can use in professional learning or with families, plus policy, plus so much more on our website, which is sites, CITES dot cast, CAST dot ORG. And I'd like to point out that it's free. It is completely free to use. So please use it in your slide presentations, print them out in your socials. We put them in our email signatures. There's so many ways that you can use the graphics. And we have alt text to go with them, Mike. Did you know that?
I
You don't
did
even
know
have to
that.
do the work there.
Don't even do the work, which is even better, which is wonderful. I think Mia's right. This idea of finding ways to kind of get these out into your environments to raise awareness. Um, we've done that in many different ways. Printed them out and had them posted around for people to see and kind of interact with. Uh, Sometimes that's a nice way to bring someone to the webinars. Perhaps we're recording all these webinars. Could always go back and watch them. But that might be a great entrance point for some of this. Is you get somebody with a catchy graphic that makes them stop and think for a second and they want to go hunt down more information. So definitely check out the great resources on the site's website. Good stuff.
You
All
might.
to
And you know
download.
what? You just mentioned something there when
Yeah.
you said make people think. So like when we put it on our email signatures, we put right below it that website so you can say, want to know more about the AT mess and facts, and then we give them a link. So I think that's a great idea too. Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. That right, that idea of, you pique interest, you get people where they are, you pique their interest, have them go and dig down a little bit more. You reel them in. That's right. You hook them and reel them in. You got it. There it is. It's tough to sometimes, we go back and forth with this in AT of being sometimes I can be accused of this. Heavy-handed. I'm going to give you everything at once. You know what? Everybody doesn't want everything at once. They want to know where it is. And so sometimes you got to point them towards where they can find these pieces of information, which is really important. Some announcements coming your way real fast. Um, these are all self-serving plugs for ATAC. So get ready. Here they are. Now would be the moment to fast forward like 30 seconds. We do a bunch of stuff. We offer a bunch of webinars similar to what we're doing tonight. We do different series about webinars. We're currently in an AT for Education series, talking about tools for learning disabilities, AI, executive function. We're kind of cutting across the board, little examples of each. We do tech spotlight webinars where manufacturers and vendors come in and talk about their products and answer any questions people have. We do a makers roundtable where people can come and brainstorm ideas to create assistive tech to meet someone's needs. It's a real fun one. And then
It's
finally, if
fun.
you're it's so fun. It's a great thing. The engineer in me really likes that one because you can
Yeah.
brainstorm solutions. It's fantastic. If you're watching this, either if you're with us tonight or if you're watching this soon after, um, and I by that I mean before February 10th, if you're watching before that, we're going to have on February 10th, we're going to bring back the AT Town Hall for a special event. The AT Town Hall happens on Mondays at noon Eastern.
Yes.
So kind of a lunchtimey kind of thing. We're bringing it back on this Monday, February 10th, as a wrap up to the ATIA conference. Me and I were down in Florida together last week at the ATIA conference. Tons of learning, great information. We thought we would open that up to everyone who was there or maybe has questions about the kinds of things that were there. Come join us and we'll have a conversation about it. So all of that stuff lives on our website. Check out the ATAC website and then search the webinars page for all that. And
And we'll talk about it.
we'll talk about it. There it is. I see what happened there. If you're watching this recording after February 10th, bad news, you missed the AT Town Hall. Good news, it was recorded and it lives on this page now. So it all worked out for you. Everything we do, we end up putting on our YouTube channel as a recording. So when all else fails, visit our YouTube channel. Tons and tons of recordings live there.
It's
And then
amazing.
finally, if you are from New
Everybody
Jersey,
needs to visit that. Everybody.
yeah, I mean, I told you I went there a few weeks back, and there was almost 500 videos there. I don't even know how that happened, but yet here it is. We just keep making more videos of different topics, so it's wonderful. Go check it out. If you're in New Jersey, this is only if you're in New Jersey. You can access our statewide license to the ATIA Learning Center, which is typically a site you go to and you have to pay for webinars, $50 a piece, whatever it might be. We have purchased a license for that for everybody in New Jersey. So if you go out to our form that lives on our website, you can fill the form out. We will give you a code, a special code, and then you can put any of these webinars in your cart, drop your coupon code in there, and guess what? Mia,
What?
what do you think's going to happen?
Santa comes early.
Exactly. Because you're
Kind
getting
of.
something for free. Because you're getting it for free. So yes,
You are.
you're getting the free webinar. So again, anything you want to learn about, I always say to people, we create these webinars that these series and things like this. We think we know what you want to learn about, but we don't really know. So that ATIA webinar gives you a chance to go and explore things you want to look at. So definitely check that out. Only in New Jersey, though. Sorry.
Only in New Jersey.
Only in New Jersey. So we'll continue on with our conversation tonight. If you want to join the convo, please do. We are wrapping up our series surrounding this document that was released in January of last year called The Myths and Facts Surrounding AT Devices and Services. There's your 5 sections. If you're watching this one, 4 other sections have happened already. It's those right there. We are in the red one tonight. We're talking about costs and funding sources. Pretty important, something that people want to talk about quite a bit, something that I know we won't have all the answers to, but maybe some resources to point you in the right direction. Hey, you want to start
And
with
look at
this
this
one?
beautiful graphic.
Love it. It's so nice, right?
Did you have to pay for it, Mike?
No, it's free.
It's free.
I don't mind
There you
telling you,
go.
it had alt text on it also. So, I mean, it really had everything.
Well, and this is one thing that we don't have to worry about paying for when it comes to AT. So I mean, there's that, right?
There's that.
We're gonna gift
Exactly.
you this. So AT is expensive. Now, that is a myth. However, I feel like it needs more digging into, Mike, because it's myth-ish. Can we just
It,
say it's like
it,
myth adjacent?
it is myth adjacent. I mean, there can be, and I like the fact part, it can be expensive. I think there are situations where something could still be expensive. But on a
Yes.
whole, if we look at kind of the broad scope of assistive tech, many items can be little or no cost. So there is a range here.
100%. And I feel like it would have even been better, just, looking at our graphics, to have
Yeah.
said all AT is expensive, right?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So that myth would be a real myth, right? All AT is expensive. No, the fact is AT can be, little to no cost, and some can be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when people think about this, though, this is where they're at in their heads, right?
Yeah.
I would think this is out of the myths. I feel like this is like the granddaddy of all the myths.
Oh, yeah.
It's the one that persists to this day. Um, and like we said, there's a kernel in there that there are tools that could be expensive. But overall, we're talking about this kind of continuum of supports um, from low to high, cheap to expensive, and everywhere in between. Um, Here's the continuum of low to high. I like using this as the example. You have post-it notes on one side. It's about as low tech as it gets. Who doesn't have stacks of post-it notes on their desk sitting next to them? Everybody does. A low tech solution for that. A high tech solution for the same need might be something like Google Keep. It doesn't have a cost necessarily because it is free with your Google account, but in the scale of low to high tech, it's providing you kind of the same support. It's just doing it differently. And so when we think about cheap to expensive, low tech to high tech, and all of the things in between, we start thinking about and really going back to what does that person need? I'm going to flash us back to the very first webinar. We talked about the definitions of AT device service. Here's the device definition. AT can be anything. You acquire it commercially, modify it, or customize it. In the red box, real key, used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of an individual with a disability. That's the key.
That's the
So
money. That's right
that's it right
there.
there.
That's where it is.
So does that mean it has to be expensive? No, not at all. But what we have to do is look at what is the need, what can we put in place to meet that need. That becomes the trick here. Is
Mm,
really going back to not letting cost drive the conversation. Sometimes people will say cost is a factor in the conversation.
yes.
I can argue that cost can be part of the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
It
A
doesn't
hundred
drive the
percent.
discussion,
No.
right? But it can be part. I think sometimes to not talk about it is to do a disservice to the discussion. I mean, I think it has to be talked about, but you can't make decisions just on the fact of, well, this is going to cost more money than this. It doesn't matter. We're looking at what is the tool that this person needs in order to be successful. That's what we're looking at here. Um, and then we'll talk about those other considerations as we go forward.
I think every time we say talk about it, everybody
Yeah.
listening out there should have to go to the website and download one myth and fact graphic.
Oh,
That's my
okay.
challenge right there.
Okay. I like it.
So
So there,
count them up, friends.
everybody has a challenge right now that we would hope that you would be willing to accept. Download these, and as you're downloading them, think about what will you do to share them.
Or talk about it.
Talk about it. Share them
Oh,
to talk about it. Oh boy, there we go.
oh,
The taco's
geez.
getting over. It's being worked today.
Yes, and we're downloading. I can hear the downloading. It's ding, ding, ding.
Somewhere the number counter is clicking on the site's website.
Right.
Well, I
But we're
hope so.
getting those, but we're getting those myth and facts graphics out. Can I just add something to what you
Sure.
said, Mike, that I thought was really important is that when we talk about this, there we go, definition, I didn't even do it intentionally. Um, you mentioned low tech, right? And I
Mhm.
know that some people call it no tech. But let's make that definition right here and right now, because we talk a lot about definitions and we all need to
Mhm.
get on the same page. So you have the definition right here of assistive technology. That cannot be argued with, right? But what is the definition of tech that we can all agree on? And
Mhm.
I would put forth that the definition of tech that we're talking about is innovation. Tech as in the synonym innovation, which means that any item, it's low tech. There really is no tech in this version
Mhm.
because it's innovation. And at one point, a pencil grip was innovative, right? Writing on a paper in and of itself was innovative. So when we look at that, then we realize that there is like tons of tech out there, right?
I like that. So that's a good way of thinking of it. Is that it really goes back to that first part of the um, definition about it's
Yes.
anything. It's anything. I think that's so important to remind people is that it can be anything. Sometimes people will qualify low versus high tech. Is low tech has no batteries in it?
Right? And that's fine,
That's
whatever,
fine.
but it's
It's
still
okay.
tech.
Still tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's another way to look at this too. I think those are really important ways to think about that. Here's two slides. It's like the worst quiz of all time because you're going to know the answer right away. Because if you looked at the definition in the previous slide that says any item, now I move to a quiz and you're going to feel very good about yourself. Are these items assistive tech? We have a pair of glasses, we have a manual wheelchair, we have an augmentative communication device. The assistive tech, Mia,
All of it. All of
all
it.
of
Did
it.
I get it right?
Sure, sure,
All
all
of
of
it.
it.
It's all assistive tech.
It's all assistive tech. Each one of
If,
these things, go ahead.
no,
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say, if we have the other parts of that definition, right? If it's used to increase, maintain,
Yeah,
or improve the functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities.
yeah.
And it didn't say just improve and increase. I think we get stuck on that one. But it also
Hmm.
said maintain. So if we
Right.
took it away, what would happen, Mike?
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's see. Oof, it's not good. It's
We're
not
not
good, right?
maintaining. We're not
Yeah.
maintaining.
I'm not
No,
maintaining. I'm barely
no, me,
maintaining as it
me
is.
neither. Yeah.
I need every help I can get to maintain. That's what it
I
takes.
mean, no lies detected.
Yeah. So, we have things in this slide that are what I would think people right away would be like, well, of course, those are assistive tech. Here's another slide that starts to
Mm,
potentially people say, well, I don't know. Think back to the definition increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities. Are these things assistive tech? Mia mentioned a pencil grip. Does that increase, maintain, or improve someone's functional capabilities? It could. It's assistive
it
tech for
could.
that person. It's yeah. There's a reading window at the bottom. There's a reading the best kind of reading window. Somebody made it out of a piece of manila folder and a colored lens in the center of it. Great. Assistive tech?
Mhm.
Sure. Yes, I'll go with that. We have our person on the right there using a long handled shoe horn to help get their shoes on independently. Sure.
Where'd you get that picture of me?
Is that nice? I looked at that. I was like, boy, that looks so good. Why don't I have one of those? I looked at that. And then finally you
Okay.
have something like a three-ring binder. Is a three-ring
Mhm.
binder AT?
What if I said no, Mike? What if I
I would
said
say
I'm
to you,
just
how do you
using
use a
that to
three-ring?
work?
How do you use it?
Yeah, I'm just using it to organize my notes and I choose to do that, right?
Yeah. Organize your
Maybe
notes
not.
so you're improving your functional capabilities because you're not able to organize them without that.
Oh, then it would be AT, right?
Yeah.
That's such a
Yep.
confusion. That is such a confusion for people is when does universal supports, When do
Mhm.
universal supports like the window here, like the pencil grip, like the binder that could also be turned on its side and used as a slant board, right? With some Velcro that the teacher I use that in my
Mhm.
classroom all the time.
Yeah,
When does that, when does it turn from just like a universal support that I'm providing to all the kids in my classroom into AT? When does that happen?
it happens when we meet the definition: increase, maintain, or improve.
And we take data, right? We
Yeah.
watch our students, they self-accommodate. We start to take data. We know that we look at Mia and she's like, when she writes just without the binder as a slant board, like the writing isn't improving and I'm taking data and all of a sudden I'm like, I think we need to talk about this and we need to consider this as an assistive technology at a meeting, right?
Yeah.
So
I think we talked about it. It might even be, wait, I don't know if it's the next slide. Hold up.
AT's
Let me start talking.
considerations.
No, not yet, but it's close though.
Yeah.
Because I think what you're saying is really important. And I added this slide in to remind us that a lot of times people, again, get hung up on the stuff
Mm-hmm.
and not the service that supports it. And again, this is a slide from the first webinar too, where we talked about this, that idea, because what Mia is talking about there and what is so critical to this whole experience is that AT implementation. Just getting the thing is not the end. Getting the binder's not the end. Congrats, you did it. It's not the end. I would argue it might not even be halfway. You might be close to halfway. If we were going to percentage this, I'd say maybe you're 40% of the way there when you get the stuff, and there's still 60% of the work still to do. Because that implementation piece, getting it in the environment, training people how to use it, um, getting it integrated into the tasks, collecting data on its use, and then evaluating whether the thing you put in there, and I'm just going to keep calling it a thing, whatever that thing is, the thing you put in there at some point, you as a group sit back and say, did this work like we thought it would?
Those sound oddly like steps for accommodations. I just call
Right?
me crazy,
These are the
right?
and again, busting the same myths over again that we talked about prior, but
Right?
this is the idea of how all of this fits together. And we really
Hmm.
start thinking about what this looks like from start to finish to make sure the supports we're putting in place are the right supports and they are
Hmm.
supported well throughout this whole experience. And then continue to reevaluate, reassess. And I hate using those two words. And I'm going to find a better word to use because people hear assess and eval and they get all like, oh no, we're talking about evaluation.
Mm,
I'm talking about
right.
just the idea of reviewing the tools and supports you put in place to ensure that they are still meeting that person's needs. We talked about this webinar one coming back
Hmm.
at us. We're circling back around again. We talked about this in webinar one. It is the cycle of
Yeah.
implementation. We talked about the SET framework. If you're not familiar, I could say go back to webinar one, but I'll give you the 3-second um, overview. The SET framework from Dr. Joy Zabala talks about the idea of looking at and considering what someone might need by looking at the student, the environment, tasks they need to complete, and then finally the tools. So that's very student facing, that
Hmm.
process. And then we
Right.
have the other side of this circle, which is the quality indicators for AT
Hmm.
services. This is how we as an organization move forward with our services to make sure our students' needs are being met. These two things are both happening for students. It's not like, well, I did set, so I don't have to do quiet, or I did quiet, so I don't do set. We're doing both of these things, we're talking about both of them, and they are feeding on each other to ensure that we get success. I
And
was
so
waiting to
what
see
I'm
if you were going to
wondering
say something.
is,
Yeah, what do you think? Wondering?
no, I just have a wondering. So we're talking a lot about what we talked about in the beginning, and I think that that's solid, right? Like, because we
Yeah,
want to keep repeating this so people understand it. So how does funding come into play when we're looking at the set and the quality
yeah.
indicators?
I mean, this is it's a shame. I think sometimes, like, I think of the set, and we always talk about this in AT conversations, how sometimes people let the tool drive the rest of the conversation. So they work it
Yeah,
backwards, which does not go well. I think sometimes this myth here leads the conversation also. Like,
yeah.
it's these two. It's expensive and there's no way to get funding, so we shouldn't even talk about anything. Versus the why don't we talk about things? Think about the solutions that might work for someone and then go forward to the funding streams. Because we know in a school setting, if the IEP team determines that this is needed and it is documented in the IEP, the school is responsible for purchasing this. Right?
Right. And honestly, that leads us back to why sites exist,
Yeah.
right? The Center on Inclusive Technology and Education Systems, because we get caught up, and I have been that person. I was the teacher in the classroom, so far away from IT, right? And so far away from so many things. And, being told no, that what we just trialed isn't an option because IT can't turn it on. So we have so many people right now in districts that are in those same situations.
Mhm.
And that is, why we try to create free resources to get EdTech, AT, and IT out of their silos and talking to each other and understanding and having a common language and a way to work with each other. So that instead of having that concept of limited, AT funding streams or no, we can't afford it. Now we're having that conversation that you're talking about. We're curious about, okay, well, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do this. But those people need to be kind of at the table and understanding each other.
Right. And understand the why
Yeah.
of some of these asks. Because if I just go to an IT department and say, I think you should chip in for some of this, their first
Mm-hmm.
question should be why? Why am I doing that? How does that
100%.
align with what I think is needed in our school and what I've been tasked to do? I think there's a confusion of, all of us have a role in our schools. And
Yes.
sometimes, and I think the work of sites, which what makes it so important, is it's finding a commonality in our roles. It's talking about this idea of no,
Right.
your role and my role are the same role. We have the same role, different
Yeah.
perspectives, but the same role.
Yeah, and how many people do you know? Like I worked with some of the most amazing people that would
Mhm.
take these stories and videotape students with AAC devices and share them with their IT department and say, look what our collaboration has done, right? And that is the why is the student.
Yeah, for sure.
Sharing when you can share a story, when you can humanize what we're doing,
Hmm.
that is so effective and
Yeah.
so important in getting this work done.
Yeah. You put a face to this, right? It's
Yeah,
not me asking someone, it's not you asking someone, it's this student asking, maybe through
yeah.
us, but it's the
Hmm.
student asking. Yeah, I think that's really important. I think what's
Yeah.
interesting, there's a lot of resources out there about funding. I was on the ATIA website today and I found this resource. Interestingly, right at the top of it, not ideal. It says that the links were active as of 2017. And I'm a little thrown that this document is maybe as old as it is.
Mm.
But if you go through it, there's still really good resources in it. And while I didn't click on every link, I think the ideas in this resource are really good. So I would encourage people to go through that, talk to, like Mia said, in your schools, have departments talk to each other. If there is an opportunity for shared expense, um, that helps everyone. If we can maximize everybody's budget, to meet multiple goals of the departments as we serve students, that's
Yeah.
great. Find those ways to find again that common spot where we can all land. Um, and I wanted to give you some resources too. I think about this idea. People still talk about this idea. Well, maybe there's a student who needs an AAC device, and where's the funding for that come from? I Not to just highlight PRC Saltillo, because all the companies do this. Um,
Right.
their page was really good. There's my plug. Their page is really good. They have an entire website designed around procuring funding for an AAC device, aacfunding.com. Great resources, point you in the right direction with a lot of resources in there, PDFs you can review of how to go forward.
Mm.
If this is, we think about some of these tools that we're talking about now in relation to this page, this might be some of your tools that have a pretty good expense still. A dedicated AAC device might have an expense that someone would constitute as expensive. And so maybe you look to some of these other resources for that to provide some funding for that. I threw this in here, Mia, because I'm a big fan of local organizations.
So am I. I'm
I
actually
can't get
so glad that
enough.
you and the Rotary, there are so many local organizations and ways to fundraise. I love
Yeah.
that. I absolutely
I
love
can
that.
think back just seeing these two icons of the Rotary and the Elks flashes me back instantly to assistive tech successes that I've had in my own town, where we started to hit a wall and someone said, I'm a member of the Elks. I should ask. And they go,
Yeah.
and the Elks had a fund that they were looking to purchase things for kids in our town. The Rotary, kids in our town, they were looking to
Oh,
support. Great. I give you all the link to this in the slide for the Doug Flutie Foundation. Now, this will only work for you right now if you're in the New England area. Um, you can tap into this, but this is a great example of a foundation that has money available. If you reach out to them, they can give upwards of $7,000 to a family to get technology to put in place for a family member who might need it. And these kinds of foundations and these kinds of monies, pots of money, are out there.
there is. And just, simple as also donors choose. Donors choose
Yeah.
it, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I know someone
Mhm.
that tried to do it in a district and was shut
Yeah.
down because the district said that they were embarrassed that they had teachers asking for money.
Mhm.
Quite frankly, there's other districts that are like, have at it, right? Like, let's,
Yeah.
get as many people to help as possible. And
Mhm.
then, of course, as you know, Medicaid, right? I'm like, no,
Mhm.
Medicare.
Medicaid. Yep.
Medicaid,
Medicaid.
yeah. I was a Medicaid is another funding source
Yep.
that a lot of SLPs use, right? In getting AAC devices funded. There's so many different funding sources out there.
And again, this is my moment where I get on my AT Act soapbox and I say, reach out to your AT Act. If you're not from New Jersey, if you're from New Jersey, reach out to us. If you're not from New Jersey, find your AT Act. They are out there. They might be able to tie you into organizations in your community. Um, but I like to remind people there are more resources than you might think right off the top of your head. Just sit and think a little bit about this. There might be some out there.
We have a question in the
Sure.
chat, Mike. And so wondering what are are the resources just online or is there printed material? For example, if we want to share with Maritza wants to share with some counselors in her office, they want to know about AT devices and services. Where can we find some printable materials to share?
Yeah, I think that some of those funding sites had printable materials. Now they're on the web, but you can print them out. Those are all PDFs. Um,
Mhm.
going to some of your resource pages. I know in our state for New Jersey, if you visit our main website, our Disability Rights New Jersey website, we have a lot of resources in there for funding and program information about things that happen around New Jersey. So Maritza, if you're from New Jersey, which I think you are, um, please visit our website, Disability Rights New Jersey, and look for that. I would say I would expand that out. If you're not from New Jersey, look for agencies in your state that do this kind of work. Every state has a protection and advocacy agency. Search for them. See what kind of resources they have that are printable that they can share with you. Again, go to your AT project, see what they have that they can share with you as far as resources that you can take back to other people. And then kind of poke around your community and see.
Well, and also what we have is a lot of parent groups,
Mhm.
right? We have
Yeah.
tons of like SIPR, CIPR, CIPR. That's the national,
Okay.
a big national parent group, and Nicole on our New
On
Jersey
our
sites team
Yeah, is from the New
is
Jersey parent group, which is called SPAN.
SPAN. Yes,
And so they
SPAN.
have tons of resources there that
Mm-hmm.
they can point you in the right direction for funding and resources and ways to tap into a community to provide what someone might need to get some of this technology.
100%. I'm putting that in the chat too.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you.
I wonder, you're gonna find some
Oh,
special
like a
surprises
surprise?
after
All
this.
right. I
Yeah.
know there was one slide. I saw it, and I think I moved it after this. So let's see. Are these final thoughts surprise slides? Let's see. Surprise slides. There they are.
That's what, so we're gonna talk about it. There's our little taco
There's the
right
taco.
there.
And there we all
Well,
are at the conference last week.
yeah, it's our
Okay.
sites cohort group with you and Brian and Tammy, Brian from Nebraska, Tammy from Pennsylvania, and then that
Yep.
whole sites crew, including Kelly, Michelle, Luis, and Christine, my co-project director, doing our thing and trying to bust these silos. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Spreading the good word, sharing good information. That was nice. That picture changed since earlier today when I looked at these slides. That's nice. I like it. I don't have that picture, so that's nice. That's very good.
Aw.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Oh, there you go.
Oh, and I don't know why it came in like that, but
Oh, was it not
the
supposed to come in
QR
like that?
code, no, the QR code for some reason is
Oh,
over
look at
the
that.
bit.ly. But I'm gonna talk for you. I'm gonna talk
Yeah.
about
Okay.
it. Um, we're big fans of communities of practice and having a conversation after the conversation, right?
Yep.
So we are going to invite all of you, everybody in New Jersey and um anybody else out there that's watching these videos to join our community of practice. We meet bi-monthly. We talk about
About.
anything about EdTech, AT, IT, and all the in
I'm gonna open
betweens
it up
that
so I can move the.
no problem that you want to talk about. And we share resources and support each other. So we really hope that you can join us and let's keep this conversation going. As I like
Yeah.
to say, let's turn the moment into a movement.
Nice. Love it. I think those are good opportunities, and just the idea, similar to if you saw Mia's reaction when I said that the town hall was back and she got all excited. These are opportunities to connect with other people and continue to learn. I think these webinars are great for that. I think the ongoing conversations that happen in some of these other spaces are fantastic for that. So definitely take advantage of it. These things are out there, um, just begging for people to participate, right?
I don't
Just
have any bacon for that.
oh, no
Bacon,
bacon. Oh, it just
bacon.
keeps going with me,
Oh,
doesn't
it
it?
was so
Oh,
close, but I
we
love
were.
town hall. AT town hall is one of
Yeah.
my favorite times of
I do
the
too, and
month.
I think this is a good
Yeah,
way to bring it back. I think this is a good starting point of something to bring it back. Um,
yeah,
to share those great resources. We all, people who get lucky enough to get to a national conference. There's only so much you can see, but
right.
there's so much that's happening, and so why not tap into other people? And I imagine during the conversation on Monday, I would probably sit with the app open on my phone and download resources that people share. Um, because I missed those sessions for whatever reason. I must have been doing something else, but
Oh
yeah, they were
yeah,
great. So that's it, Mia. We did it. Oh, I don't know
we did
why the
it.
final thoughts are all over the place. There it
Oh, we
is.
have more final thoughts.
I'm more final thoughts. I have no more final thoughts. That's it. I'm final thoughted out. Um, thank you for participating in one or all of these Mythbuster webinars. These were fun. I'm going to try to think of ways to rope me into doing more webinars. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to. And we'll figure it out. So Mia, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Maritza, everybody
Yeah.
who joined us, thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful. And I hope you have yourselves a great night.
Same to you. Keep putting the fun
Thanks.
in funding, AT funding.
Fun and fun. Bye, everybody.